Before we get to the street conversation, and I'm gonna try not to drag it a lot. I just want to make sure we do get to a bunch of other, topics and shit like that. We're gonna go to another 1090 Jake topic, who,
man, what's up?
This is gonna preempt this conversation about the streets, because I think this video is gonna. I wouldn't play it after I do the street conversation, because I think this video doesn't matter. The idea of what 1090 Jake does sometimes, not all the time anymore, he's diversified, but even what Whack 100 does, right? Like, yo, we got to work on him. Yo, he's a snitch. Yo, I just don't think that these things exist anymore. People, like, the rappers themselves are telling you, yo, this shit's over. Like, you have the rappers who, the only music they make that's relevant is street music. They're saying fuck the streets. That's a really interesting dynamic. And we're going to explore the dichotomy of that shortly after we're going to play this real quick. Anyway, I'll give it a short before this plays. Apparently, Florida rapper Glokk9ine, who I remember him like getting caught up in a RICO, they're saying that paperwork has came out that he cooperated on 4 murders while he was locked in federal prison. Like, you ever wonder how some of these guys get out? Like, you hear like, hey, he's convicted of a RICO. And you're like, all right, we'll never hear about that guy again. Then 3 years later, you're like, yeah, he's free, and he's like back doing crime. You're like, how the hell did he get out? So let's listen to this for a while and chat the next topic. If you guys are here, grab some popcorn, start texting your chicks, figure out what you're going to do for the night. You got to get some cheeks. And for my chat queens, y'all not hoes, so just keep scrolling TikTok on your iPad while you watch me on your phone or your laptop, all right?
Everybody, welcome back to another episode.
I'm going to do 1.25 speed, and I might still skip through it a bit. We don't want to be,
So the EOS is 1090 Jake, man. I'm rocking with y'all rocking with me. And for this video, we're going to be speaking on Orlando rapper Glokk9ine, the new paperwork that just hit my desk. Got to be a little more careful. Just hit my desk of him snitching in the feds. Now you don't have to crash to get cash. There's an app called Free Cash, and all you have
okay. Got the sponsorship going.
to do is screenshot the crazy RICO charges. There was a gang war between his group, AFNF, and then Hot Boys Group 438. Cuddum Reese was involved. Fucking Glokk9ine allegedly went to Cuddum Reese's house, shot it up while Cuddum Reese's mom and sisters were inside. Like, he wasn't even there. But the craziest thing about it all is Glokk9ine is supposed to be cousins with Cuddum Reese, so he shot his own aunt's house up. Like, the story is just extensive. But 2 years ago, Ola Runt, as y'all can see right here, accused Glokk9ine of snitching while they were in the same federal prison. And it was said Glokk9ine actually got stabbed behind the situation. Multiple shootings, multiple attempted murders, and I'm not the only person that's covered this situation. We got some big channels, Hip Hop Daily, Trap Geek. I don't know who this one is, but let's actually just take a look at Trap Geek's masterpiece, because this is, if I've never told y'all before, Trap Geek is the reason I ever got into these documentary style videos that I started doing after.
Orlando Magic.
Why everybody get that concept of Disney and all that? I don't know. I guess that's just how they see it from the outside.
Well, the FBI typically doesn't telegraph our moves. What I can tell you is that these two gangs, the 438 gang and the Army gang, have got our attention now.
The other 5 already in custody are responsible for nearly $2 million in stolen property.
This beat is nasty.
59 stolen vehicles and 19 stolen firearms.
The prominent people at the top, just between those 8 people, they're responsible for 230 felony charges. Jaquavius Smith, better known as Glokk9ine, just him himself has been arrested for 52 felonies.
Hi, what is up everybody? It's been far too long. The last episode was in Florida, and for this video, we gotta return there once more. This time to Disney World's Orlando, where folks witnessed one of the largest RICO cases in state history, Operation X, take 34 people down from 2 separate crews. To show you what this looks like, the entire Bobby Shmurda and GS9 indictment was 63 pages. This RICO case in Florida is 700 pages long.
What?
God, like, y'all don't even understand how big of a case this was when this happened. It's so much deeper than a lot of people know. And the thing is, technically Disney's in Kissimmee. It's not in Orlando. One of my first memories as a kid that grew up north, coming down to Disney,
All right, we're gonna skip through it a bit.
Okay, you can.
Like hitting daycares and memorials. The city saw 30 back-to-back shootings in 6 months, and it forced Orlando to bring in the MBI, or Metropolitan Bureau of Investigations, basically Florida's version of the FBI, who built this whole case using wiretaps, Instagram, and evidence they found on people's phones. Sometimes thousands of photos and videos that map out drug routes from Orlando to California, with folks taking trips back and forth, smuggling hundreds of thousands of dollars in suitcases, flying girls out separate to bring the product home, where they launder the profits through cars, guns, and show dogs. Glokk9ine, who signed a $2 million deal with Young Money and Birdman when he was only 18, now faces 52 charges, including frauding the government out of $10,000 through a series of PPP loan scams that got intercepted when he tried showing it off to his friends on Instagram. And when the news dropped of a pending RICO charge, his once friend turned rival, Hot Boy, decided to go on the run, and then turned himself in, but then went on the run again after they revoked his bond.
I love how I'm watching this. Like, I don't know all of this, but you know, that's just the power. Take y'all, because
We're gonna get to the interesting part, Chad. I know.
Bystanders on the internet to take off with rumors and speculation as Orlando rapper Glokk9ine was now accused of snitching. This was the same rapper who's been hit with a Florida RICO, tied to a gang war within Orlando, and allegedly shot up his own cousin's house for being in an opposite gang. But the craziest aspect of this new allegation isn't the actual allegation. It's the fact that Ola Runt is calling him out while both rappers are currently in the same federal prison. Ola Runt was arrested back in 2020 within Operation Phoenix, an FBI takedown of 12 of Atlanta's most violent offenders.
Did y'all see who else was in that? Yo, somebody told me I don't have to hit the rewind.
The other hand, was named as the leader of a gang known as the Army, or AFNF, based in the Mercy Drive area of Orlando. He'd be one of 34 people indicted on RICO charges, stemming from what law enforcement described as a war with the rival 438 gang.
Let's just skip to the part where we're talking about the snitchery.
Thank you.
USP Hazleton. Known as Misery Mountain, it's made headlines in recent years with the infamous prison murder of Irish crime boss Whitey Bulger, who met a brutal ending only hours after arriving.
Bro, they beat that man with locks. They said that they pulled his eyes out or cut his tongue out, all types of shit. They fucked him up bad.
The biggest red flag within a federal case would be a 5K1 motion, which essentially means a sentencing reduction in return for substantial assistance in the prosecution of others, aka snitching. Glokk9ine definitely doesn't have a 5K1, but what was interesting is a few pages of his plea deal.
Here we go.
On page 6, the 12th term of the plea is cooperation.
Of course, the 12th term of the plea is going to be where my fucking little box is that shows me.
In which the defendant, or Glokk9ine, agrees to cooperate fully with the U.S. investigation and prosecution of others.
So basically, I can remember what the gist of this was, right? In his plea agreement, he was agreeing to cooperate, but there was no cooperation, which is retarded, right? And he had his lawyer go back and take that section out completely, and they came out with a new plea agreement. So it was said that Ola Runt must have had the old plea where it said he agreed to cooperate.
Oh.
And he didn't have the new one that said he refused. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So because of that, they used the old plea against him. Some shit happened. He gets poked up, whatever. But the paperwork we now have tells a completely different story. Now, this is the official Orange County Clerk court records.
I like that Jake does this. He actually opens up the website. He's showing you that he's not doing. Do people do fake paperwork? I guess fake paperwork's a thing. So like what Jake is doing is really good. You know, some people I believe would gatekeep how they're getting some of this stuff, but like all this stuff is public information if it's actually legit. And he just kind of shows how he gets these things.
Website. This is going to be every single case Glokk9ine has ever caught, but we want to specifically focus on this one here. Now, we're just going to scroll down a little piece. October 27, 2025, this transcript was filed with 99 pages. This is what we're going to get into. Now, this is a motion.
Who has fake paperwork?
To suppress. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. This is my first time reading through it as well. So we're going to briefly skim. And if I skip it all, it's because it was just bullshit. So they bring up Glokk9ine's former lawyer as a witness. And there's a direct examination. Good afternoon. Tell me your name. He's an attorney. And it's basically just going to talk about his background, what he does, what he did. Now, this is saying he was an attorney for Glokk9ine. To the best of my recollection, the first case I represented him on was either a 4 or 5 count attempted murder case. The case eventually got, thrown out. He beat it on the day of trial. I also represented him on a couple of state charges for possession of a firearm. And you were actually representing Mr. Smith in this very case that we're here on today. I didn't mention that. What I mentioned was in the cases that I completed with him, but I did represent him on the current RICO charges that are pending against him. Now this states, they're asking where he was on April 6, 2023, and where was Glokk9. He's saying Glokk9 was in federal prison in West Virginia, the one that we were just watching the video about, right? And it states that detectives traveled to this West Virginia prison to interview him. Now this is where things are about to get interesting, and I just want to, you know, Glokk9 fans, y'all gonna have to hold this one. This one's gonna suck for y'all. What did the detective tell you occurred? He said they went to see him and they were investigating a homicide, and they believed that Jaquavius had some information for them. And that they told him that this was the one and only time they would go see him. But when he asked to speak with me in the interview, they said that was a reasonable request and that they would extend that offer or go visit him one more time if he wanted to speak with him. So basically what they're saying is they wanted to talk to him. They wanted information on a murder. He asked to talk to his lawyer, which isn't a bad move. He also told me this would serve two purposes for, in theory, two separate cases. He told me that he has an affidavit, a lengthy affidavit for an arrest warrant for Glokk9 on a homicide, where he would conspiracy to homicide that he had drawn up, and Jaquavius had a choice of cooperating and he would be a witness in that, or not cooperate and he will walk that warrant over to the judge. So basically they went to Glokk9 and said, look, you either cooperate in this case as a witness or we're hitting you with conspiracy to commit murder. Conspiracy to commit murder means he must have had something to do with the planning of this. So this is meaning he would be cooperating against his own people. Okay, so his lawyer is saying he's trying to negotiate the case to go away. Glokk9 will cooperate in the 4 murders: Dexter Rents, Demetrius Cox, Dominique Aldridge, and
How the hell is this info public? So usually if you tell your lawyer, oh, I killed someone, that's attorney-client privilege, and someone can't be compelled to, like, I think this, let me see, when does attorney-client privilege overrule? Let's see, when can you overrule it? It's powerful, but not absolute. It's overruled by exceptions like crime fraud exception, seeking advice for future crimes. What? Waiver through voluntary disclosure, or when the lawyer acts in a non-legal capacity. But that's a legal capacity. He told them, I'll talk to you, but I want my lawyer here. The lawyer goes there. But then the lawyer is in some deposition or some like interrogation, and the lawyer is telling exactly what his client said. Oh, no, never mind. No, it's still attorney-client privilege. No, actually, it's not attorney-client privilege. Sorry, it's not. Attorney-client privilege actually ends when there's a third person there. So attorney-client privilege is only, and I only know this because, like, I think on my dog bite case, I wanted my assistant to like handle certain stuff because I'm bogged down with calls and shit. And I was like, yo, I tell the lawyer, I'm like, yo, my assistant could be on the call, and they instantly tell me, yo, attorney-client privilege. There is no attorney-client privilege if you have anybody else but me and you on this call. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So yeah, I think that's why, because the detectives are there. There is no attorney-client privilege, which attorney-client privilege is only something you speak to your lawyer about in private. That's what I believe. So, there's some lawyers in here. They're going to DM me.
Cordell Otwell. These are all 4 murder victims. And his lawyer is saying, to the best of my memory, those are the names that he was providing and discussing. They asked the lawyer leading up to whatever. Was there in fact a statement or a proffer that was given by Glokk9 subsequent to April 6th? His lawyer would say yes. Now this would get further into Glokk9 didn't want to give a statement without his lawyer present. And the reason for that was he just wanted to make sure he was getting what he was told. And I mean, on countless pages, they're basically breaking down. He's going to get immunity. He's not going to be charged with the murder. His lawyer's trying to get the RICO thrown out completely. Glokk9 is sitting down with the feds in a West Virginia prison. They're telling him they have a warrant for murder, an affidavit that they could turn into a warrant. They could sign it. They could charge him with murder, or he could cooperate. And he said,
oh, and I guess those meetings are documented too, right? Because there's an investigator in the room talking to you and you're locked up. Those meetings are documented by a tape recorder or something that the investigators have. So even when you get your lawyer and your lawyer comes in the room, it's also documented. So it's not necessarily a thing of attorney-client privilege because it was being recorded from the get-go.
Saying, I'll cooperate, but I want my lawyer here so I know I am getting my end of the deal. Now this right here on page 36 states, during the interview, Glokk9 provided incriminating information against himself relating to the murders of Dexter Rentz, Demetrius Cox, Dominique Aldridge, and Cordell Atwell. So he gave the interview and he told them some things that could hurt himself. Now right here, the lawyer is saying that he had a chat with Glokk9ine to make sure he understood the conversation, that he couldn't lie, and that if he doesn't do his part, he's not gonna get the benefits. He needs to be truthful. Everybody flew up there for it. You know, they got to fly investigators from Florida to fucking West Virginia. He's telling Glokk9ine if he isn't truthful, this is gonna be a waste of time. They made sure he understood. He acknowledged that he understood. They went in. We also again discussed what he was getting in terms of benefits in the case. And it states right here on page 38, tell the court what those conversations were, or after the interview or after the proffer of Mr. Smith on May 18th, 2023. What conversations did you have with the police officers? And Glokk9ine's own lawyer would say, when we walked out, everybody was surprised at how well the interview went. Now, I don't think we're going to get all the details from these transcripts, and it's hard for me to understand what exactly the motion to suppress is for. Like, are they mad that he didn't get certain benefits or whatever the situation is? But Glokk9ine 100% sat down with the feds, gave a proffer, made statements, and solely for the benefit of saving himself from another murder case. And people are going to be like, oh, but who did he give information on? I mean, we might not know that, but we know he gave it because there was no other purpose for him to.
Yeah, but I got to be honest with you, 1090 Jake. We've just sanctioned that you could sit with the cops as long as you're flirting, you're doing this. You could talk to the cops. If you're trying to bring a man home, you're trying to lie, you can sit with the cops. Yeah.
To sit down. Meaning Jaquavius provided the information that they wanted. They were absolutely shocked that they did, and they were very happy that they did. There was a comment by me to make sure that no, but yeah, it was a recurring basic interjection of our conversations throughout, not only as we were walking out of the prison, but through the ride to the airport, that they were surprised that Jaquavius, aka Glokk9ine, was forthright with them and answered their questions. So the police officers told you that he had provided significant useful information. They said he did great. They were surprised. And yes, with that being said, I think Glokk9ine's career is, it's obviously over. You got hit with like 8 years in the feds. You know what I mean?
No, it ain't.
But while being in there, deciding to work with the feds, that's crazy. And it makes more sense as to why he got poked up, if that's actually how that played out. The mafia, if you listen to all the guys that do interviews, the former mob guys, they say you can't even sit down and hear what the offer is. Never mind actually go through with the interrogation. And there's no rebounding off of this. If the police want to investigate 4 murders and they sit you down and say, if you don't help us, we're going to charge you with murder. And then when they leave, they say, damn, he told us everything. I was surprised at how much fucking snitching he did. Like, you got the police high-fiving. They didn't even expect you to do what you did. That's terrible. That's not a good look for Orlando, but hey. Let me know y'all's thoughts and comments in the comment section. It's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all, and y'all rocking with me. Till next time.
Now, I want to be honest with y'all, chat. I want to tell y'all. Shout out to my man 1090 Jake. But I blame 3 individuals, chat. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I don't want him to be like, yo, I could. No. I'm saying it facetiously. It's 3 individuals why every rapper is now saying the street is dead or fuck the streets. It's 1090 Jake, Traplo Ross, Whack 100. After they done exposed everybody as talking too much, snitching, he told back then, rappers are backed into a corner that the only way to kind of come out of this is to say fuck the streets. I got to be honest, bro. Got to be honest. These motherfuckers, you realize everybody was cool when nobody was being held accountable. Or the people held accountable was, oh, we don't fuck with that nigga anyway, so let us hold him accountable. Not like fans being able to hear these stories and be like, well, what about him? And what about him? And I know y'all cool with him, but what about him? That's what fucked it up. Y'all do realize that, right? Now,